Hello, Blythe, Evie, Joe, Jack, Callum, and Cadence, and Lucy. It's story time. Today's story is The Berenstain Bears Forget Their Manners. And you know how there's always a little lesson message on the front page. This says, Etiquette for Bears. Etiquette is another word for how you should behave. Please and thank you help quite a lot to make a polite bear out of one who is not. The Berenstain Bears forget their manners. Oh my goodness. Look at Papa Bear and Brother and Sister Bear fighting at the table. So the story begins. There was trouble in the big tree house down a sunny dirt road deep in bear country. Trouble with manners. The bear family's trouble with manners was that they forgot them. Oh, yikes. At first, it was just an occasional please or thank you that was forgotten. Do you see how sisters just grabbed the teddy bear out of Brother Bear's arms? Then there was a rude push without an excuse me. Oh my goodness, Brother Bear's just knocked Sister on the back. Then a reach across the table instead of a please pass the broccoli. Oh my goodness. Mama Bear wasn't quite sure how or why it happened, but she was sure of one thing. Whatever the reason, the bear family had become a pushing, shoving, name-calling, ill-mannered mess. Oh my goodness, look at what they're doing to each other. And do you see they're calling each other names? Silly head, fuzz brain, noodle puss. At the table, it was even worse. They were a grabbing, mouth-stuffing, food-fighting, kicking under the table super mess. Oh, it is really becoming a problem, isn't it? Of course, Mama Bear tried to correct Brother and Sister Bear's behavior. She tried coaxing, that means trying to convince them. She tried complaining. She tried shouting. She tried going to Papa for help, though it sometimes seemed to Mama that he was part of the problem. Papa banged on the table and shouted as only he could shout, but nothing really seemed to do any good. Ooh, boy, Papa's banging on the table so hard the plates and the honey are shooting up in the air. Mama didn't like what was happening to her family, not one bit. Something had to be done. But what? The best way to fight bad habits, she thought, was with good habits. Then she thought of a plan. She got a big piece of cardboard and a marker. At the top, she wrote the Bear Family Politeness Plan. So she's going to make up a chart. Do you see how there's a picture in the background where Mama's standing folding her arms? It says, Home Sweet Tree, because they live in a tree. When the plan was finished, she called a family meeting and showed it to Papa and the cubs. What do you think the plan is? It certainly got the bear family's attention. Mama's plan had a list of all the rude things she wanted to stop. Beside each one was a penalty, a job, or a chore that went with it. Penalty is another word for punishment. If you forgot a please or a thank you, you had to sweep the front steps. If you pushed or shoved, you had to beat 2 rugs. To beat a rug means to take it outside and hit it with like a broom or something hard that will make all the dust come out of it. If you got caught name calling, you had to clean the whole cellar. Oh my goodness. So, on one side of the plan is the rudeness, and if you get caught doing it, on the other side is the penalty. Forgetting please or thank you, you have to sweep the front steps. Pushing or shoving, you beat 2 rugs. Interrupting, you dust the downstairs. Name calling, you clean the cellar. Reaching at the table, you clean the yard. Playing with food, you wash dishes. Rude noises, you weed the garden. Banging the door, you clean the attic. Forgetting excuse me, you empty the garbage. Hogging the bathroom, you put out the trash. You take the trash out to the trash can. But Mama, sputtered the cubs, you're not being fair. It seems to me, she said, that you're the ones who aren't being fair to yourselves or anyone else. That's what manners are all about, being fair and considerate. Manners are very important. They help us get along with each other. Why, without manners, your mama's absolutely right, interrupted Papa. Thank you, Papa, for your comment, but interrupting is number 3 on the rude list, and the penalty is dusting the downstairs, Mama said, and handed him the feather duster. Oh my goodness. So Papa Bear is the very first person in the family to get a penalty. There he is, dusting the downstairs. Said Brother, this looks serious. I think we'd better come up with a plan of our own, or we're going to be doing a lot of extra chores. What sort of plan? Asked Sister. Well, he said, instead of just being polite, we'll be super polite. We'll please and thank you so much that Mama will get fed up and call the whole thing off. Yes, said Sister, we'll be so polite she won't be able to stand it. You think that's going to work? They put their plan into action. They were super polite. On the stairs, after you, Sister dear. Thank you, Brother dear. In the hall, excuse me, Brother dear. Why, certainly, Sister dear. Waiting for the bathroom. Terribly sorry to have kept you waiting. Think nothing of it, my dear. Boy, they are being super polite. But it didn't work the way they expected. Mama didn't get fed up at all. And after a while, Brother and Sister forgot about being super polite and were just polite. At the table, pass the honey, please. Certainly. In their room. Would you like me to help you pick up your toys? Thank you very much. In the yard. Oops, sorry, I didn't mean to bump you. That's all right. No harm done. And it turned out that Mama had been right. Things did go more smoothly. Once they got into the good manners habit, they didn't even have to think about it. But it wasn't so easy for Papa. He was the one who got fed up. It's a little harder to change habits when you're older, and he had to do quite a few extra chores for forgetting his manners. You see, he's weeding the garden, he's sweeping the front stairs, he's taking out the trash, he's beating the rugs. That's what it means to beat a rug. Do you see how he's hitting that rug with a paddle? I'm glad to get out of the house, away from that politeness plan, he said as he drove the family along the highway on a trip to the supermarket. Manners and courtesy are just as important away from home, especially on the road, said Mama as they stopped at a stop sign to let pedestrians and other cars pass. They help us drive safely. Well, grumbled Papa as they all went into the busy supermarket. "I think you can have too much of a good thing. You've got to have common sense along with manners. Why, if you let everyone go ahead of you at the checkout, you'd be there forever. And sometimes you have to interrupt." "Excuse me, madam," he interrupted a shopper, "but I believe you have a leaking bottle in your cart." The shopper thanked him for his help. Look at how he's tipping his hat to the shopper. "You see," he said, driving home, "there's more to life than remembering your manners. Besides, manners are all right for cubs and mama bears, but we papa bears have other things to think about." At that moment, the car in front stopped suddenly and Papa bumped into it. He was furious. "Why, that pin-headed fiddle-brain!" he snarled. "Name-calling," reminded Sister. Oh my goodness, a big old bonk on that car. The penalty for name-calling was cleaning the whole cellar, so Papa gritted his teeth and remembered his manners. And a good thing, too, because climbing out of the other car was the biggest, angriest bear he had ever seen. But when the angry bear saw how polite Papa was, he remembered his manners, too. He explained that he had stopped short because a mama duck and her ducklings had crossed in front of him. Then he and Papa Bear looked at their bumpers and saw that no harm had been done. So see, he was the angry bear that got out of the car that stopped. He was being polite too. He was stopping at a duck crossing. "As I was saying," said Papa as they continued on their way, "it's very important for us to remember our manners at all times, and I want to thank you, Sister, for reminding me to remember mine." "You're very welcome, I'm sure," said Sister Bear politely. And hopefully Papa Bear continued to be polite. The end. Well, I hope you liked that story all about having good manners. We probably need to try really hard right now when we're all inside our houses all the time to be polite to each other, huh? So tomorrow for story time, we are reading Braids. It's another Robert Munsch story, and I think you're really going to like it. It's very funny. So I love you all, and I'll be with you tomorrow for story time when we read Braids. Bye-bye.